Hi everybody, my name is Jan Dufour and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I live just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. We have been doing card maps and I am going to do card maps today. We're going to be doing 14 and 15. We're moving right along, but I'm not going to do the stamping. I'm going to show you some things because I also wanted to take the opportunity to compare the Stampin' Up! Embossing powder that was in the older catalog to the new embossing powder, which is made by Wow. There are some differences. Both of them were great products. I wouldn't throw away the ones I had, but there are some differences. So I wanted to be able to share that with you. If you're seeing me on YouTube, I do have project sheets for this with all of the cutting dimensions and how I put this together. And it is at my website, stampmesilly.com. If you have any questions or if you'd like a free catalog and you don't already have a demonstrator, you can go to jandufour@yahoo.com and send me an email. Or you can shop directly from my online store at jandufour.stampinup.net. Let me put this away. So the stamp set that I use today is called Penciled Pear. This is the last stamp set I thought I want. It's not really my style, I guess, and fruit just doesn't normally do it for me. We've had a lot of oranges and peaches and pears and not pears, well, now pears, yeah, and just all other, and it just never caught my interest. But I saw some of these samples done up and they just do themselves. So I thought I'd give it a try. And that's what I used for both 14 and 15. And I also used the sentiments that are on there. I did use a die set, which is not entirely necessary. If you didn't want to cut out the circle, the flags you can do yourself. I've shown you how to do that before, but they're stylish shapes. And I did use the biggest circle for that. I used the fat little flag, I'll call it, for that. And then the big long flag for this one. So I really did utilize these two sets a lot. And then the gems that I used are the glossy dot assortments, and that's where I didn't have any on here, but underneath I'll show you how. Okay, so the first contrast, I'm going to put this one aside for now. The first contrast I wanted you to see is white on white with a flag color that matches the colors that I used to color the pears. I did use Tuxedo Black Memento stamp pad, and it shows quite nicely. You know, there is depth because it's white on white, and it's very nice, and also very simple. The measurements for this square was 2 7/8 by 4 3/4. And I did that specifically. It's a funny measurement, but I wanted the flag to hang out. Here's the same one done with a background color. This is wild wheat. This is crushed curry. Stamping this and using just white with a background. So of course this is our standard 4 by 5 1/4. This piece is, I didn't measure it. Hang on. We will do that now. It is 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. And I'll have that, those measurements. I'm writing them down right now. 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay. And then simply stamped in black for the thank you. So you can look at those. Obviously this is more subtle. This one stands out more. I did not do any fancy coloring. I did use alcohol markers, but that is just one solid color because the black makes it show up. I'm going to show you in the next sample what happens if you stamp this color and then color on it. So that's card map number 14. Now card map number 15, as it shows here, is pretty simple. I moved the bow. You can live with that. But I did white on white again, so it shows some depth. And when I attached the flag, I did use dimensionals here and just a little bit of glue right there. And there's a small twine or linen thread bow. And I did color it with light and dark crushed curry. Basically, I colored it all one color with the light, and then I went back and put in a little bit of dark, and then I used Mossy Meadow for the leaves. And I really didn't try really hard to do it. Like I said, it kind of does it itself. I wanted to show you the contrast though. This is stamped in wild wheat like this one is. But then when it's colored, it brings out the individual lines, if you will. And the same with this. I still use the Mossy Meadow, but just very light. And I did put a gem on it, and I elevated It's Your Day. And this is just the largest circle. So you can see there's quite a contrast depending on how you do it. But both of them were so super simple. Just cutting out a circle for this one, die cutting, or this one I actually cut the flag myself. We've shown you how to do that other times. And then die cut this. All right. So one other thing I wanted to say, people are asking about my embossing machine, which I will bring over here. And regardless of what flavor you have, these plates get bent. They go in one direction and the other. I have heard all kinds of ways to take care of them, and I encourage you to try any of them and see what works for you. I am going to tell you what works for me. As you can see, these are extremely well loved, and yet they're still fine. I place one down, generally the flattest one, but you can see that there's a little bit of give here. Okay, that's all right. When I store it, so this one is a little bit, I don't know if you can see this, is a little bit bowed, and you put it down. Again, it's not bad because I follow my own advice, but there is a little bit of give. What I do is I go ahead and do all the cutting that I want to do. Then I take the flattest one and put it on the bottom. Then I take the one that's cupped, if you will, this way, up over, so it would be sticking out this way, not that much, hopefully. And then I make it roll through to the halfway point, and I just leave it like that. And that's how I store it. And that forces the center to go down, and my plates just work forever. The last time I changed my plates was they were so dug in, and I had used black cardstock for a bunch of things. And it was starting to leave little shreds of the black paper that were embedded in here. You can use these plates forever. They don't have to be replaced often. So I wanted to give you that little shout. All right, let's go to the embossing. So Stampin' Up! Is now gone to Wow embossing powder. There are a couple advantages. It's my understanding, and I don't know this for sure, that it holds up better over time. Now, a lot of it depends on whether or not you're in a very humid climate and how you store them. I stored them in a plastic container with a very, good snapped shut. And they could still get a little bit clumpy, even here in Louisville. If you're further south, it probably is much worse. Of course, I haven't had the Wow that long, but the granules of the Wow powder they're a little bit bigger. So let's do a comparison. When you look at them, doesn't look too different. I'm always going to have Stampin' Ups on this side and Wows on this side. When I pick them up, the gold is a slightly different color. It's more goldy. The other thing I noticed on all of them is, I don't know if you've ever tried this, but this is the Stampin' Up! One. I have tried embossing it, heating it, and then doing it again with the Versamark on top and putting more powder on so that you don't have bubbles. I don't know if you can see this. Let's see. They're not bubbles per se. It looks like a little pebbled path. It's not smooth. It's not unattractive. It gives it a little bit of texture, It does well on fat letters and on skinny letters, which I wanted to test. This is just smoother, and I don't know if it's because the granules are bigger, so they're thicker, so that when they melt, they're fuller, but they're definitely smoother. This looks like I did this one twice. So in this particular case, I would give it to the Wow. White. The colors, again, are very similar. In natural light, the Wow White is darker, but again, I think it's because of the thickness of it, which I wanted to point out does not interfere when you're making small letters. I purposely picked that. They're both fine, but again, I think I would pick the Wow on this one. Now this is clear, very hard to see. It's like tone on tone. And the only comment I have is the same. The clear Stampin' Up! Has a little bit more texture, and if I wanted it smooth, I would have to do it again, which means you have to use a stamp positioner. And here's copper. Copper is the thing for me. Copper is my favorite color of the metallics. They, again, are both very similar. They both, now this is user error. It would have done just fine, but I rubbed it accidentally. They are slightly different colors. I would say that the Copper Wow has a little bit more pink. I don't want you to think it's pink because it's copper, but this is a cooler color. This is a warmer color. I guess that's the easiest to say. And again, it's thicker. I think that's just going to be the thing. All of the Wows are thicker. Again, user error for all of the dots here. I did use my embossing buddy, but I obviously stuck my fingers there afterwards. Again, it's darker. With one application, it's just darker. So again, I think I would go with the Wow. I think Wow wins. Again, if you have all of the other embossing powders, there's nothing wrong with them. They do a fine job, and if you're not comparing the two together, nobody's going to know. But again, this one, not as much. It is smoother, it is thicker, but not as noticeable maybe as the others. But same color. A little bit more texture on here than, say, some of the others were. And that's it. I just wanted to give you a comparison since we switched, and I know people wonder why we did it. I have no idea why we did it. I'm sure it was a business decision because Stampin' Up! Is really good about stuff like that. Again, I wouldn't throw away the powders you have. I would look at them, though. They do get old. They get clumpy, and they just, they don't degenerate. They just age over time, and they don't always do well with the aging, because I also tried I had a brand new one of Stampin' Up's copper, because that's my favorite, and I think it did better than my old Stampin' Up copper. So that was an age thing, not a product thing. I hope this was helpful with the couple of tips that I gave you and the comparison, along with our two lovely page maps, which you can continue to follow along. It looks like we have 2, 4, 6, 7 left. So I will be doing 3 at one point so that I can make it even. So probably 3 more of those. And then we'll do something totally different. Let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed this. Please consider subscribing. I post once a week. If you got last week's and it didn't have a video attachment, go back out to my website, stampmesilly.com. Go back into it. I don't know what happened, and I was not at home. I was in San Antonio, and I didn't notice it. So a viewer brought it to my attention, which I appreciate, and I fixed it. So the link you have maybe will bring you to the wrong, the one without the video. So just go out to stampmesilly.com. Or go to my YouTube channel, and it's there. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.